DanyGirl.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see every time that I post. Give this video a thumbs up if you like the content, and anything that you would like to add, feel free to add it down in the comment section below. Okay, so Netflix has a movie called All the Bright Places, and I just want to do a little quick recap and my thoughts on it. So it's starring Elle Fanning, who is a younger sister of Dakota Fanning, and Justice Smith. I know him from one other, well, he did do Detective Pikachu, and then I also know him from a show that Netflix has. It's called The Get Down. That was really good. It had Jaden Smith in it too. Okay, we start off with Fitch running. This is Justice Smith. The soundtrack sounds nice to begin with. He's running, and they call him by his last name. His name is Theodore Finch. And I immediately wanted to call him Theo, but they didn't do that. So I was like, all right, whatever. So he's running, and he sees Violet, who is Elle Fanning, standing on a ledge of a bridge. So he goes over, and he's trying to, like, make light of the situation. And he's trying to get her to come down, and she's not really coming down. So he goes up there with her. And so, like, he's up there kikiing about the situation. And, like, then he realizes, oh, this is serious. And so he sticks out his hand for her to grab, and he's like, okay, you know, let's get down from here. And Netflix thought this was cute to roll the title scene. I was like, I need to know if they jumped, they got down, what? We enter back, and we've got Violet at school at her locker, and her friend Amanda is asking her if she wants to come to a party this weekend. And Violet's really not looking like she wants to go, and she's more concerned because she just seen Finch in the hallway. They shared a little glance, honey, and he goes on about his business. Theo has his own issues, as we can see. He's having weekly meetings with his guidance counselor, Mr. Embry, and Finch is going down the wrong path. He's missed a lot of classes. And his guidance counselor is, like, trying to get him to take it seriously, but he is not. He's, like, playing this thing off like it's, like, nothing. He's like, okay, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. All right, like, peace, bye. So at lunch, they're both respectively at their own lunch tables with their group of friends. And this guy, Romer, which I'm like, who names their child that? But whatever. He comes up to Violet, and he's like, oh, hey, how are you? You coming to the party this weekend? And I can already tell him, like, okay, old buddy likes her. All right. And she's like, I don't really know. Now, over at Finch's lunch table, he's with his friends, and they're asking him, like, what are you looking at? He's like, oh, I'm looking at Violet. And so this is where we find out that Violet's sister died. They don't really say how yet. We just know that she died. Now, this same day, Violet is at home at dinner with her parents, and they are all dealing with the fact that today is Violet's sister's birthday. And the only reason I came to that because her mom made a cake, and I was like, oh, that's a birthday cake. And she's like, well, I've been making them for 19 years, so this day would have been her 19th birthday. Now, Fitch's home life is different. He lives with his mom and sister. His sister seems to run out a lot because she's always late for work or almost late for work. And then his mom, from what I can tell, is always gone, like, for work. So she's, like, out of state. She's not even there. And we get to see his bedroom, and it is filled with Post-its on his wall. And I was like, okay. And so he wrote, because she smiled at me, and put it, like, on his wall. And I was like, okay, you know, me trying to be the detective that I am, I'm like, okay, is he putting those on his wall because, like, is this like his reason to live because Violet smiled at him today? Like, okay. This also reminded me of, like, people who, like, you know, like, people, like, put sticky notes up to, like, remember things. I was like, oh, is it that? Or is it like a, you know, like you say, daily admirations to yourself, like, you know, I'm powerful and stuff like that. I was like, is it a wall like that? I was like, it looks neat, but, like, I want to know what this wall means. So Finch Googles Violet. I was like, okay. He Googles her, and so we see that her sister, Eleanor, died in a car crash, and she died in a car crash at the bridge where he found Violet at. And so I'm like, okay, well, was she trying to kill herself where her sister also died? The next day, or so, Violet comes into class and she drops her books clumsily, and this was like an uproar for everybody. Like, key. I was like, it wasn't funny. And so Fitch jumps up and knocks over his desk, and they laugh at that too. And I'm like, okay, like, this was like child humor, I guess. Like, you dropped your books, so like that was like so funny, and you flipped your desk, and that like made it even better. All right. So anyway, in class, their teacher is telling them that they're about to have an assignment. It's going to be partnered work, and they've got to like find the wonders of their state. And so, of course, Finch now wants to work with Violet since he's taken an interest in her. So he meets her outside of class, and he's like, hey, you want to work together? And Violet's like, nah, bruh. So Violet goes home. She's telling her mom, she's like, hey, like, I don't want to do this assignment. You know, it's partnered. I don't want to work with anybody. And her mom's like, you know, maybe it's time that, you know, you get back out there and, you know, hang out with friends and, you know, just enjoy your life. And Violet's like, Violet makes a deal with her mom. She's like, okay, Amanda's throwing this party. If I go to this party, will you get me out of doing this partner work? And so I guess her mom said yeah. So she goes, and while she's there, she sees she's not really looking like she's having a good time there. She's just there. And Romer comes up, and he's giving interface yet again. And so I guess he's trying to be like, oh, I've missed you or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out like if they were dating maybe or about to date. But he is going about it the wrong way, because he comes out of his face and tells her basically like, why don't you just get over it? Like, it's time for you to move on. I was like, oh, you were being insensitive. And if you thought you was about to get some punani, you're not getting none now. Violet leaves the party, and on her way home, Finch sends her, he tags her in a Instagram post, and as soon as like he started singing and gave her his number and stuff, and I was like, is this public? So she called him, and it was public, because she was like, take it down now. So he was like, okay, I took it down. He was like, but come, he was like, can I come over to your place? So she was like, okay. So they're taking a stroll down the street, and they're kind of getting to know each other just a little bit. And she's telling him, she's like, hey, like he tells her he Googles her. And I was like, who? That's weird. Who tells somebody that they Googled them? Like, she's going to think you're a psycho. But she's like, okay. And, you know, he's like, oh, well, I know about your sister and what happened. And that's why you were at the bridge. And she's like, just to let you know, like, I wasn't trying to kill myself. So he's like, okay. So Finch asks again. He's like, okay, well, you know, be my partner for this project. So he's like, you know, it'll be good for you. Same thing as her mom said, get out, socialize. So she says, okay. And of course, this is the part where, oh, I'm gonna make your life better, and you're gonna love it. And then of course she's like, oh, you know, I'm a brooding teen, I'm a damsel in distress, like there's no way that you can make my life better, like I'm still gonna be feeling these same feelings in a month, even though we know she's not. So we also found out that Theo has a nickname called the Freak, and we're gonna figure out why, so calm down. Violet finds out that she can't get out of her assignment, so she has to be partners with Finch. So she tells him, okay, we're gonna be partners, let's do this. So she tells him they can do it. She tells him they can do it, just, you know, they can't drive in cars. That's how her sister died, so they're not going to go in cars. So they bike ride to all the, you know, places that they need to see for their assignment. Finally gets Violet to laugh a little bit, and I was like, okay, we've seen a smile now. Like, things are going great. We're on our path to being in love. Here we go. And she opens up about her sister, and I was like, okay, well, you know, that was some good therapy for her. So that night, Finch and Violet are flirting, sending each other poetry and literature, I guess. They were sending each other quotes, honey. I didn't know who it was or what it was. They said the author's name. But anyways, he shows up at her window, and he's like, there's something I want to show you. They bike to this wall that essentially has like what people want to do before they die. And Finch has stay awake on his, is what he puts on his, and then Violet's is be brave. Now I noticed when he put stay awake up there, it was something that was also on his little post-it wall. So I was like, okay, well, what does this stay awake mean? This you can see Violet is starting to cheer up a little bit. She's having like good moments with her family and stuff, and you can always leave it to a trifling friend, honey, to mess it up. So Amanda comes and asks her, like, are you mad at me because I'm working with Romer? And I was like, ding 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 ding, girl, they probably like making out behind your back and you don't even know it. But she says, like, you know, she doesn't really care about it. She's working with Finch. And so Amanda's like, oh, be careful, you know, he threw a desk last year or something at Romer. You know, he didn't hurt him too bad, but you know, like, he's really dangerous. And so as soon as she says that, like, Violet flips the switch on Finch and she starts treating him different. And then, of course, we gotta have this, like, whose balls are bigger between Romer and Finch in front of Violet. I was like, y'all doing the most for no reason. Finch goes back into Embry's office for a minute, and he's giving him like a phone number and address for a support group. And I was like, support for what? Like, are you on drugs? Like, what's going on? What we need support for, bruh? Finch decides to sleep on Violet's lawn, and he tells her it's because he has to show her this great, amazing place. But he tells her they can only get there by car. Now, Violet is not trying to go, but her parents come outside, and so she's like, Finch talks to her parents. He's like, I'll drive really safe. I'll be really careful. Like, there's just a place I have to take her. So her mom's like, oh, why not? So she's not happy about it, but she goes. So she gets in the car, and while they're driving, you know, she kind of recounts, the night that the accident happened, and she tells Finch that she was in the car as well, and of course she didn't die from it. She woke up in the hospital and her mom told her that her sister was dead. So this is where we shared a little handhold. I was like, oh, they gonna kiss in a minute. Ooh, they gonna kiss in a minute. So Finch takes her to this little mini theme park. It was like half of a roller coaster. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a little cute little roller coaster or whatever. So she's having a good time. She's having fun. They get back in the car and they're driving or whatever, and they share a moment, and Finch stops the car. So I thought he was about to get out this car and be like, okay, I've driven, you get on the other side and you drive. I was like, oh, but no, y'all, he went to the other side. He unbuckled her seatbelt. She got up out of the car and they made out. I was like, oh, we done made it. We got some kisses in. We got some kisses in. Hey. They start kissing, like, we know officially, like, okay, they're together. So there's like this montage of them, like, him taking her to all these places. They're having a really good time. What I noticed is the more that Violet was smiling and coming up out of her shell, it seems like the more, like, recluse that Finch was becoming and not smiling. Like, he's starting to go through something. I'm like, okay, like, the tables are definitely about to turn. Finch starts missing class. He's not returning Violet's text or her phone calls, and she's like really worried about where he is. So, you know, she asks his friends, and they're like, oh, he does this all the time, don't worry about it. He's been gone for days, y'all, days. And then he just shows up at her house one morning, and she's like, nigga, what the fuck? So he takes her out to a river to swim, and when they get ready to take their clothes off, he has this really long scar down the side of his ribs. And so, like, she didn't ask about it then. You know, they have a swim and they have a cute little moment or whatever. And he had asked her before what scared her. And she was like, oh, just dying. And he was like, oh, it's got to be more than that. So she, when they get out of the water, asked him the same thing. What are you afraid of? And in good old Finch form and fashion, he didn't want to really answer the question. He was trying to make light of the situation. He hops back into the river. Now, he is up under there for a good minute, so then Violet gets really scared. I mean, she's already lost somebody, so she jumps in the water. She's trying to find him. She thinks he's drowned, and then all of a sudden he pops back up out the water. Ha 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 ha, kiki, and she is like already like a mess. So she's pissed at him. So he's like, oh, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Ask him straight up. She's like, where do you go, like, when you disappear? Finch alludes to, like, dealing with, like, the psychological damages of, like, having an abusive parent. We found out that his dad is the one who gave him the scar on his side. He says he leaves to go to, you know, he does things to remind himself that he's in control of his life. Of course, and, a good old teen rom-com, this was a turn on. So they went to I won't say abandoned, but they went to a train station, They went to a train yard. They went to a train station and got it in. So they overslept. And they stayed the night there and they wake up. So he rushes Violet back home and her parents come out. Of course, they're super scared. They didn't know where she was. And so, like, he's like, oh, don't be upset with her. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. And I just knew then the way he kept saying, it's my fault. It's my fault. I was like, this is not good. I was like, he's about to go off the deep end. Like I said, he feels like he's gone off the deep end and he's lost control. So we know he's revealed now that's a big thing for him. Like, he needs to feel like he's in control of what's going on. And so he goes home and he kind of freaks out. He rips all of his post-its off of the wall, and he then starts to try to, like, paint over it to get rid of it. And I'm just like, oh boy, this poor baby. Here comes Romer again, honey. in the hallway talking mess to Finch, and so they get into it, and it ends up with Romer being in a headlock, choking on his own tongue. And so Violet is yelling, you know, like as usual, stop, don't do it, don't hurt him, let him go. And so he lets Romer go, and he leaves, and he takes off. So he actually ends up at this support group that his guidance counselor suggestion. When he ends up at the support group, guess who walks in, y'all? Amanda. So Amanda walks in, and we find out that Amanda is bulimic, and I guess she's been going there for support and help. So Finch goes to see his sister, and she's at work. She's like, of course, I didn't like the way this conversation went. He was trying to talk to her, but she wasn't trying to brush him off, but it's like she was trying to do her job, but she's like, oh, I can have somebody else work. And I guess he just didn't want to put her in a bind, but he was trying to tell her what he's going through, how his abusive father like has affected him, you know, like now, like what's going on with him, and she didn't get it. So sometimes like I go through this now because I grew up in a household where like I was made to feel like my feelings didn't matter. So like I have a real hard time like expressing myself. So I kind of really like felt him when he was trying to talk to her, and she was kind of like she wasn't trying to, but she was brushing it off to the side. And so he just he was like, oh, never mind, don't worry about it, I'm okay, I'm gonna be okay. And that kind of hurt my heart just a little bit. When he gets home, he finds out that Violet has been waiting there for him. So she's seen his room, she's seen the wall. She asks him about it, and he tells her that he's been trying to do things that put him back in control. So he went in his closet, and he's trying to, you know, write things on post-its and put them on the wall in there. And he's just like, I can fix it, I just, you know, I need to get back in control, I can fix it. And so he tells Violet, like, you gotta go, get out. He's really like reeling because nothing that he's doing is working. Like normally these things work for him, and he's okay, he's good, but they're not working now. Like he's been pushed too far, like he just can't regain control. So in this, I realized, like right after they had that, I realized, I was like, this is a codependent relationship. I don't know if this is a good thing. Like she was dependent on him for her happiness, and like he was dependent on making her happy to feel good. Like I was like, oh, this was a bad concoction. Violet tells her dad how she met Finch, and he's like, oh, well, I'm glad, you know, you met him, and you know, you didn't go through what you were gonna do. And in this very moment, Violet decides that she's gonna go find Finch. So she musters up all her energy, honey, and she goes out into the car, and she drives. I was like, okay, so she's driving out to the river. She figures that's where he will be. So she goes out there, and his clothes are there. Oh, I'm about to get emotional because like this got me in the movie too. His clothes are there, but he's not. And she's calling his name, and she's calling his name. Nothing. And the only thing I could feel, I was like, this, because she was bawling her eyes out. I was like, this poor girl. I was like, she already lost her sister, and here she is again losing somebody else that meant so much to her. I was like, he saved her from her ledge on the bridge, but she couldn't save him from his. I was like, oh my, oh Lord, I was like, oh my goodness. To end this all, Violet did her project, and she just kind of talks about how you know, Finch helped her see the things that she never would have seen. Probably had he not come along, she would have stayed stuck in her shell, you know, from the effects of when her sister died. So instead of her this time going back into her shell and dwelling on the fact that he's died, she's gonna more live in the joys of the memories that he's left her. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. That's really good. Y'all, I'm about to cry. My feelings are up here now because I don't talk about this boy dying. But all in all, it was a really good movie. I really liked the soundtrack. The acting was great. Look, when she cried, look, you see, I'm about to cry. When she cried, like it gave me some feels. So I was like, okay, it was a really good movie. It didn't, like, I thought it was gonna follow the path of like To All the Boys or something like that, but it didn't. Like it kind of did, but it didn't. And so, like, it was different, even though it had a sad ending. But I really like this one. Netflix did a good job. So, yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. If there's anything y'all like to add about the movie down below, feel free to comment. And bye!